Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. This video will be about toxic shame. It's such a crucial aspect of how it plays its role in the male submission and female domination world, BDSM as a whole. And a lot of shame. The whole pride thing, for example, has to do with shame. People being shamed for being gay or lesbian or trans or whatnot, and to be prideful, gay pride. This is something that needs to have pride put at the forefront. It needs to be spoken about more because it's a very common thing. Just like people are born gay, people are born, like I mentioned, innately into male submission or female domination, and it's the core. It's the like they're our primary sexual interest. It's our erotic. I forgot the term. It's another video. That it's like our main source of being turned on. So like, I remember when I started to have desire, I started thinking about Femdom. I wasn't thinking about other types of things. So the book is called Healing the Shame That Binds You. Really, really recommend it. So much in this book, and I've just started it about 25% through, and it is jam-packed with amazing, amazing information, and makes so much sense of so much self-sabotaging that I did growing up. But essentially, like I mentioned before, toxic masculinity is a huge problem, especially when it comes to male submission, because it's literally the opposite. That men have to be, quote unquote, certain traits of what is portrayed by society to be a man, and what are certain physical characteristics or things that make someone a man or a woman. That is just, it's shame and it's based, as the author says. Like, he gives an example. He says a man has to be 8+ inches long. He has to be, muscular and wealthy, and he tough and like not showing vulnerability and stuff like that. And it has to do basically suppressing the feminine side. Every single person has both sides to them. They have the feminine and masculine sides to us. We're made of both. And the woman, she's supposed to be, quote unquote, gentle and kind and sweet. And if she's assertive and if she shows anger, then she's, quote unquote, a bitch, is like the term that people will use for a woman. And that's shaming people at their core. And same thing with the sexuality. Men are shamed if they're sexually submissive, and women also if they're sexually dominant. But it's way more, I'd say, a harder thing for guys, as you can see on the internet and in the world, if a guy is into being sexually submissive, because when it comes to sex in general, that's like a woman's arena. She can be more expressive, she can be more sexual, and she'll actually be praised for it from certain guys. Like, that's what they want. If a guy is expressive sexually, a lot of times he'll get turned down. And unfortunately, it's a lot of times, to my understanding, is because women had adverse negative experiences with men and things with sex. And so they developed this hate, quote unquote, for men and sexual expression, especially even if it's in like a healthy way of expression, which a lot of times, unfortunately, it isn't. But just to drive home a point, in the book, he says, sex drives, shame binds. He says, perhaps no aspect of human activity has been as dysfunctionally shamed as much as our sexuality. Sexuality is the core of human selfhood. Our sex is not something we have or do. It is who we are. It's the first thing we notice about each other. Sexuality is a basic fact in all created things. If we shut off this drive, we would annihilate the human race in 120 years. Our sexual energy, parentheses libido, is our own unique incarnation of the life force itself. To have our sex drive shamed is to be shamed to the core, which is something that literally, again, as I mentioned, for men that are innately, naturally into being submissive, sexually submissive, this is like an intimate core part of who we are. It is, we don't need like femdom in order to get sexually aroused, but it is our core arousal, way of being aroused. And when that's shamed at the core, and it's such a personal and important part of us, that creates a core, like at the core, that we're bad. We should be ashamed. And there's so many things that he talks about of causes of toxic shame. Of course, it's not just sexuality. It's a plethora. It's a huge amount of stuff. But it's super important and super relevant when it comes to femdom, female domination, and male submission, and men being ashamed of their desire for submission. And the reason why is because of that toxic shame. That a lot of the times that's the reason, or if not all the time. And so he says the only way to get past this, which I'm still working on that, is you have to go through it. You have to admit, like I mentioned before, you have to admit that you have the shame. You have to admit that the shame is there, and that, I have shame for the desire. I have shame for sexual desires, and I have shame for wanting to be submissive because of all the unhealthy messages and what is praised and what is seen as, quote unquote, what it means to be a man, when that's not true, like I mentioned in the past. So for both men and women, but I would say it's more relevant, but it applies to both men and women, of course. Read this book. Really, really recommend it. Like I recommend other books, but when it comes to your sexuality and which is such a core part of who you are, it's important to have a good relationship with yourself. And if you keep on denying and running away from that shame, what that does is shame begets shame. So you end up just doing more things that create more shame and self-sabotaging behaviors, and isolating. Like I isolated myself and I still struggle with it. Part of the reason why I isolate myself now is because it's kind of hard to find genuine people. But in general, people will isolate because it's safe. No one can shame you if you're isolated. But then you end up being alone, which is a horrible, painful thing in and of itself. So highly recommend, again, check out this book, Healing the Shame That Binds You, and similar things like this, things that are on shame and things that help you deal with going through these feelings and learning about it. So then you can get that awareness and then work on it and work on healing and developing a positive relationship with yourself and your desires, and not self-sabotaging and continuing to isolate and other unhealthy behaviors, which again goes hand in hand with the exploitation that is extremely common in, unfortunately, the femdom world and the female domination. It's filled with lots of toxic women. I was just talking to a woman today. She says yes, right? She agrees. It's filled with a lot of toxic women with a lot of exploitation and using the shame and the stigma for their own financial gain, as well as the adult industry and whatnot. Don't let them win. Don't let them do that. Don't let them use such a beautiful part of you that should be celebrated, appreciated, and enjoyed together mutually. Don't let them take that from you. And wishing you guys and women best of luck. Peace, love.